Hi, guys. I'm Dr. Jenny White, a dentist in Sarasota, Florida, and her fearless patient, Susan, with our podcast, Open Wide, Unfiltered Opinions Between a Dentist and Her Patient. Over the past 25 years or so, I've been sitting in a little room talking to myself all day, and I've gained a lot of wisdom through that process, which I want to share with you. We hope our podcast casts optimism and fearlessness to you so you can rise to the top, stay at the top, and dream bigger than you've ever imagined.
I'm so delighted to introduce my friend Jean Ingersoll today to talk about aging gracefully with Sass and with Verve. Jean is clearly that girl who made it all work together. She's a mother of 3 amazing kids, a grandmother. I forget how many grandchildren you have.
3.
3 grandchildren.
Wow.
A community leader. She was just telling us this morning how she's been reading to underprivileged kids this morning. Community leader, a friend of thousands, and I can attest she's a friend of thousands. And in midlife, started a career that was hugely successful. Once she got her children launched, she looked for something fulfilling for herself. And at the age of 44, she took an opportunity with Texas Business Magazine and opened up a new territory for them in advertising. And eventually that developed into her own business, where she represented many publications, including magazines like Food and Wine, Town and Country, Good Housekeeping, House Beautiful, Departures Magazine, among others. She also did the launch of Oprah Magazine and the Food Network magazine in her territory. At the height, Jean's company achieved over $20 million in magazine space sales, which is an amazing number.
Amazing.
Married for 64 years to the fabulous Ted, Jean and Ted split their time between Sarasota and Dallas, Texas, and they travel extensively. Please join me in welcoming Jean here to tell us how to have a fabulous life, have it all, and do it well. Jean just celebrated her 86th birthday. She looks much younger and acts much, much younger.
In a complimentary
welcome
way.
to our podcast.
Thank you, Jean.
She thinks I'm just a kid.
I know, which I think is the spirit that drives you for sure. So let's start with that question. What do you think is the secret to living gracefully and having a long, beautiful life like you've had?
Oh, my gosh. I've thought a lot about this since you asked me that question. This started on my actual 86th birthday. We were sitting at Boca having a glass of wine or some other adult beverage. And,
Shocking.
And Susan said, well, how about doing a podcast? Well, I've never done anything like this, so forgive me for my amateurish.
Well, neither have we. So.
We haven't either.
Don't worry.
You're in great company.
But it was the actual day of my birthday. And on the actual day, and you say to yourself, 86? Yeah. How does that happen? Now I'm still 86, but I don't feel 86. That day I felt 86. And I think that's part of it. I think it depends on your internal attitude as much as anything. I've been lucky. My appearance is not as old as a lot of 86-year-olds, people tell me. And I know that to be true. I think that my health is really good, and that's fortunate. I have this theory that as people age, it's one of 3 people. Some people have a disease or something like cancer, and they have no chance to age. Some people, including good friends of ours, just say they're hanging it up. They're not going to do this anymore. They're not going to do that anymore, and they let themselves age. And then there's those of us who say, it's another day. It's a gift. Do what you can. And I think that's the answer to aging. I'm also would bring up, I'm very fortunate to be a good sleeper.
Oh,
and they say
that's
really an amazing part of it. I just put my head down at night and I get my 8 hours most nights and wake up in the morning and think, okay, what can we do today?
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that. I am a great sleeper as well, but all of my friends struggle. Yeah. I mean, struggle, maybe an hour or 2 or this or that. And they say it's part of aging. They used to be able to sleep when they were younger, and now that they're older, they can't. I'm just like you. I put my head on the pillow, boop, good night. Wake up in the morning.
Yeah, I'm sorry for them.
And I know, I am too. And it's good to know that I now potentially could live to 86, at least.
Oh, at least. We're
At
still
least.
going. We're not quitting at 86.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. So do you have a routine, like a morning routine? Do you get up and like meditate and then like do sit-ups? I mean, is there a typical day for you?
No.
No. Okay.
No. My physician, and you'll get a kick out of this, I had a physician who passed away, and I had another one that I had introduced an elderly aunt that we had moved to Dallas to. And one day she asked him how he was doing, and he said, Sally, you're on the extended warranty.
Oh, wow.
When you get to be 80, you go on the extended warranty. So now it's a joke because I throw it back at him all the time. My extended warranty is doing really well.
Ah, that's funny. Yeah.
And that's a phrase others have said, I might use that.
Yeah. But what's interesting is there's no sort of routine that you follow. And what about supplements or any of that kind of stuff? Is there any of that part of your daily routine?
I have a couple of supplements I take. They're not sure. One is for my eyes, and they're not sure it's doing any good anymore, but I still take them. What can it hurt?
Yeah.
I get all the shots you should get. I try to drink water, never as much as I should.
Yeah.
Exercise is really important, but I don't have an exercise routine. I just
Do what feels
make
good that
myself
day.
good. Yeah. No, I'm not that organized or that, I don't know, regimented.
Now, is that because in your career, when you were very busy publishing, you were very regimented? You probably had a strict schedule, limits, deadlines, things like that. And since you've now in a space where you don't have to have that rigorous schedule, is that part of it, or?
I think so. It's interesting because it's our financial planner who. I'm disciplined and I'm organized. Sometimes Ted will tell you to a fault. But he says, you work so damn hard, you might as well enjoy it.
Yeah.
Now is your time to enjoy it. So I think that enters into it. I think, why not? I did do that. But by the way, what I did was sell blank pages in advertising. There was nothing to do with the actual publicity. I never saw the ads until the copies of the magazine got to my office. So my creativity comes from more the ability to sell than the ability to advise anybody on how to win a customer.
Yeah, well, you seem to have done that really well, though.
Yes.
Yeah. But on the non-creative side, I maybe that's creative. I don't know.
Yeah. How do you think your industry has changed over the years, Jean, since you sold your business? Like, I don't have any frame of reference, so I just don't know. Is it mostly now social media? I suppose the answer to that would be yes, but there are still magazines. There is still advertising sales. Has it changed in any dramatic
it's changed
way?
a lot.
Yeah.
Once again, the guy who worked for Hearst Magazines, which was, at the end of my career, I represented their entire stable of magazines, which was probably 22 magazines. Mm-hmm. And I still have this same friend who lives in North Carolina. Hearst moved all of their accounting there years ago. And he calls me the smartest woman he ever knew because I retired when I did. And it didn't have anything to do with the knowledge that the industry was going to change so much. It just was the time.
Okay.
I tried to retire about 7 years earlier and it didn't work. So I stayed on. But when I retired, that's the year I sold $20 million. And digital advertising was just starting to come along. And I had my own business. So in some territories, there are captive representatives in New York and Chicago and LA. For a while, it was in Detroit and San Francisco, too. But in a territory like Texas, they hire an independent person because they don't want to have their own office. So decisions were, how my company should run. I mean, I had my own company, but I sure had a lot of input from another firm called Hearst Magazines.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to hire a digital person. And I had a couple of ideas of people in my territory that I thought would be good, but they wanted a really experienced person. And a really experienced person at that point in time would have been about $150,000 higher. And I knew I wasn't going to be in the business long enough to have that pay off. So I never did that. The person who took over my business had to do that. So, it's when you're running your own business, you got to figure out how much you can put in and how much you're going to get out.
Yeah, right.
Why have your business if it's not going to be profitable?
And life balance, too, because that's important.
Life balance,
Yeah.
Although my life is made up for all the lack of balance back then. I was working hard.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. What advice would you give your younger self now? I always like to ask this question of folks who have the experience that you have. Because I know how I'd answer that question for myself. How would you answer it for you?
Wow. I think to take more enjoyment out of every moment.
Okay.
It's when you're burdened with the decisions you have to make to raise your children, to do this and that.
Yeah.
But I think, once again, I was gifted with the ability to always look forward.
Yeah.
And I would advise others to be able to do that.
Yeah.
When I went to college, my family was very modest. I mean, I was raised in a one-bathroom house. I went to a state school, and in my sophomore year, I went home. My father was not a college graduate. I went home and I said to my dad, I'd like to go to a smaller private university. And my father said, if you can do it and you can get in, go for it. So I did, and I ended up going to Ohio Wesleyan University. And I've thought about this a lot in the past few years. Why did I do that? I was president of my dorm. I pledged my sorority. And I think I just thought life would be better for me if I went to this smaller school, and I just sought it. And that's kind of what has led me forward. And that's what I'd advise people to do.
Yeah.
To move forward, not backwards.
Yeah. Yeah. To think ahead. Yeah. Yeah.
Jean, did you have any brothers or sisters?
I have one sister. Yeah. I have one sister who married a friend of Ted's, met at our wedding, and did not graduate from college, which was a huge disappointment to my dad. She later went back and got her degree, but my dad was, from the time we were born, my girls are going to go to college.
Good.
That sounds like
Yeah.
you have an amazing father.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. He's my role model in life.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And is your sister just as independent as you are?
No.
Different.
My mother used to say,
personalities.
Jean, I don't know where you came from. Your mother says that to you.
Well, we've got those stories, right? Yeah.
So I understand you have actually met Oprah.
I have.
Tell us a little bit about that. How did that come to play?
Well, working for Hearst magazines, they decided that they would launch her magazine, and which was enormously successful and enormously profitable for me. And it was interesting at the time. There are sometimes people in your career who don't like what you're doing. And there was an executive at Hearst who wasn't very fond of me or my business. A big client of mine was Neiman Marcus, and she wanted to handle that independently from me. And I assured her that my contract wouldn't let her do that.
Yeah, good.
And that's talking up to somebody has power over you.
Yeah.
So Oprah came along, and that magazine was supervised by her, and she didn't want me to have it. So I went to the guy who was parallel to her in the company, and I said, he had been in my territory a lot, and he knew my staff. And I said, I'd love to have Oprah Magazine, and I'd love to have my employee represent it. And he said, ooh, that's a great idea. And I got the magazine. So when the magazine launched, there were a couple of big parties, one in New York, which I went to, and Tina Turner is a good friend of Oprah's, and she performed.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What a moment.
I know.
Oh,
I love her.
It was
I
so,
love Tina.
Yeah.
and it was a big party. I mean, it was a real big party. You got to dance with celebrities that you never knew you'd have. And then they had a second party in Chicago, and I was invited to come up for that party as well. And that's when I really met her, and we really talked a lot. And she introduced me to people, and we just kind of hit it off. And she was and is a superstar woman. I think she's kind of pedaled back in her personal life and all the things she was doing because she had her TV show and the magazine and whatever. But, talk about an inspiration to people.
Oh my gosh.
She's it.
The pinnacle.
The pinnacle.
Yeah.
She has a podcast now, too. The Oprah podcast. Yeah.
And she's much thinner than she used to be.
Yeah. And she talks openly about it, too. Yeah.
And she had great people working with her, and she really always celebrated them. Her workout person, her chef,
the hairdresser.
All of
Dr.
those.
Phil.
Dr. Phil, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And she launched so many other careers.
My God.
Yes.
Did she
I mean,
ever?
so
Yeah.
not only is she amazing in her own craft and her own mind, her magazine and everything like that, but she gave so much to those around her that she cared about.
Yeah.
I think that's really true. And for me, starting my own, I never worked for a company. I never worked for a corporation. So I guess I had good enough grades to transfer to a decent college, but I was never a student. My dad didn't like that, but
you
got to be who you are.
You were an A worker.
But you learn so much from the people around you, and that's life lessons for me. And she was one of those life lessons. You watch people and you think,
I want to be like her.
I want to be like her. Yeah,
exactly.
Or at least pick up a few habits. And then there's some people you think, what not to do.
Yeah, no, that's true. People teach you along the way. That's for absolute sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I understand you've been on some traveling adventures now that you are enjoying life on your terms. Tell us a little bit about the fun trips.
Well, people ask if I have a favorite place. I really don't, because I've had so many really wonderful experiences. One that comes to mind off the top of my head is going to Kenya and Tanzania. Ted said before we went, do you think we're going to do anything besides see animals? So this was my trip. And it was such a wonderful experience to get inside of people's lives. And we had real personal experiences. On the first night we got there, my smile takes me a long way, I have to tell you.
You have a great smile. You have great teeth.
On the first night we got there, a group of Afrikaners meet you and they sing to you. And I was so impressed, and I went around and stood behind them because I could just see a little bit more and enjoy it a little more. And then they took us to another part of the building where we where they jump. And this one guy who hardly had any teeth and was he noticed me smiling at them, enjoying me. So we got to the stairs and he grabbed my arm on one side and another grabbed my arm on the other side and took me down the stairs, and they said, you could be our Maasai mama.
What a compliment.
What a compliment.
It is a compliment.
It is a compliment. So that's one of them. But we've had many, many great family adventures and been to a lot of great places.
I was going to say the part you left out about this African trip is Gene and Ted have taken each one of their grandchildren to adventures singularly when they turned a certain age, right? Like turned 13 or something?
Well, the first one when they did 13, and Hannah was 13, we took her, but we decided that was too young.
Yeah.
So we took the boys when they were 15 and 16 because they remembered more.
Yeah.
And were into it more.
What a lovely family tradition that is, to be with your grandparents alone on
It
a
is.
trip. And they often pick the spot, the grandchildren.
They always pick the spot.
Yeah.
So where did they take you?
Well, with Hannah, we went to London, and then we went to, we just did a day, and we took the train through the Channel and went to Paris for a day and went back to London. But she was young, so she kind of missed her mom. The boys never did that. The second trip we went, we thought our second trip would be to Ireland, and our grandson wanted to go to Africa. And we said, well, okay. We said, you could do it. So we went to Tanzania and Zanzibar. We said, we just can't do exactly the same trip. And that was splendid. And sometimes when we were out in the vans in the mornings and the evenings, he would spot animals that our guides didn't spot. It was a real important moment for him. And the third trip we took was to the Scandinavian countries. We went to Norway, Sweden, and Denmark.
Nice.
That was fun. Yeah. It's in hindsight, that one is about to graduate from law school. It was a great bonding experience.
Yeah.
You don't have their parents, they don't have their electronics with them.
Yeah.
It's
And they're
just
old enough to sort of enjoy
Yep.
the
Yep.
scenery and the places you're taking them. Yeah,
It
nice.
was wonderful. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your children. What sort of careers did they end up getting into? And also, do you think it's more difficult today for women or less difficult for women in the workplace today to climb the ladder and do the thing and be successful?
Obviously, it's more difficult. I was lucky. I never thought so much about being a woman in business. I know that I came across a few men who were a little resentful of my success, but it was just sort of an attitude, but I think it is more difficult. I have a granddaughter right now who's thought she wanted to be a clinical psychologist. She's gone a long way, got her master's, she had to do an internship for 3,000 hours, and she's 300 hours short. Her father died, and it set her back immensely. She's not sure she can counsel people. So she's looking for a job right now. And for a woman in the job market right now,
It's tricky.
it's really, really tricky. It seems like you have to know someone, or there's so many resumes out there that, I think it's really hard. And everything you read and see, women are not as respected as much as their male counterparts. It's too bad. I don't know why. I think we bring perhaps some different skills, but in some ways, some of those are better skills.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Well, that's too bad to hear that it doesn't seem like we're making the progress that we thought or that we put the time in to make back in those days.
Exactly.
For girls these days.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing I do, excuse me for interrupting, Jean, but one thing that I would say, being a female dentist in this little town called Sarasota, is when I was starting out, it was very competitive between men and women. We didn't share information. We were highly competitive, et cetera. The younger generation, especially the females in the younger generation that are coming along, they seem to be much more open, much more all-inclusive, much more open to share. That vibe of competitiveness seems to be minimal. So I would say in the dental world, I don't want to say it's easier for women, but it just seems to be going along okay.
And it depends a little on the field.
I would agree. I would agree.
And what your skill set is to apply to that field. I agree with that. I always thought when I started out that advertising was one of those fields where women had been more successful than in a lot of the business world.
Yeah. Yeah. You could really have your own sort of book of business back then, too, in the advertising, was selling the ads to the certain sector of the,
Exactly.
Yeah. That makes sense. So, Jean, as you think about life ahead and you think about your granddaughters, or your grandchildren. Are you more optimistic about what's ahead for them or a little bit more pessimistic about, I know the world's a kind of a crazy place right now, but what's your sort of feeling as you look ahead?
Well,
Yeah.
that's
Another
it's
podcast.
hard.
We're asking you to be psychic.
That's
Two more
right. That's right. Well, it's psychic, but there's a lot going on right now that doesn't please me very much.
Yeah.
And one of the things I really believe is it's okay to start at the bottom and work your way up to prove yourself along the way. And it seems in today's world, young people are feeling a little more entitled than perhaps than I did anyway. There's just a lot going on that you wonder how it will affect, especially my grandchildren. Not my children so much. My children are in their 60s, or about 2 of them would say not quite there. But
I think about this question, and I remember that when we were coming up, and during the Vietnam War, where everybody's like burning their bras and the men are wearing their hair long and we're all smoking doobies, and and our parents are clean cut Marine parent. My father was a Marine. Parents are like, "What is this world coming to?" And look at us. We did just fine.
Just fine.
Yeah, and I hope that's the same that will happen for
I hope so too.
generations.
Although the economics of getting there aren't as easy as they used to be.
Probably not.
When you bought your first house, that great house up in Convert.
Yeah.
That was a lot more affordable than
that wasn't my first house, but I do remember that first house and how proud you were to be able to. Oh my God, I have my first house, and it was like a tenement house actually, because we could take advantage of the rent that was coming in. Anyway, it's a long story.
I agree. I agree with you, Susan.
Yeah.
I think that it all circles around, and I think we are such a resilient creature that we'll work our way out of this. Yeah, and women are going to be fine.
Oh, I
in
think
the job
so too.
market. But like you said, they're going to have to start at the bottom. They're going to have to prove themselves. They're going to have to claw and climb and all of that stuff. And that's, I think, what we all kind of did.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think this idea, you were alluding to this earlier, that you could just jump into a CEO position like 2 years out of college is crazy.
Yeah.
So they have to lower their expectations and get to work.
Yes.
And once you get to work and prove yourself, doors open, as we've seen, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you make some of those doors open. They don't just automatically swing forward when you hit the pad.
Yeah. Well, that's true too. Yeah. Any parting words you'd give to our listeners about aging gracefully with Sass and Verve, which is you are the epitome of?
Well, I think that you've got to look forward. It's driving me crazy today. I don't want to bring politics up, but looking back and blaming the past people for everything. You've really got to look forward. You really got to look forward and accept your mistakes and learn from them, and find good goals out there to pursue and be able to pursue them. I think in my resume, Ted pointed out that it all came about on a ski lift. A friend said, I don't know what I'm going to do. Nobody wants to hire me on the terms I want. And she said, well, I know what you could do. Well, I'll tell you, taking that position was like holding your nose and jumping in the water and not being able to swim because
a leap of faith.
A leap of faith. And so you have to do that. You have to have a leap of faith, I think, in your life to go forward.
That's really good advice. The other thing about you that I know personally is that you are constantly curious. And so you go to all the lecture series in town and you're constantly reading and you're constantly questioning. And I think that's the key, or one of the keys to longevity, is just staying curious all the time and wanting to experience new things and meet new people. And it doesn't matter how old or young they are, you're right in there in the center of it all. It's great. It's a really wonderful trait and quality you have. And I think it contributes to you.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's just, it enhances your life.
Yeah.
When you have as many experiences as you can, you learn about things, you learn from others, you become inspired by them, you become inspired. We met a couple last night who are are going up to Bradenton and feeding immigrants who are hiding in Bradenton.
Wow.
And, and that's things like that are really inspiring to know there are people out there. I mean, it really comes down to people, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's just people inspire you, people keep you going.
Yeah.
And, when you go to lectures, you learn.
Yeah.
Keep learning, keep moving.
Keep learning, keep moving. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the motto, I think. Keep learning, keep moving. Yeah. Well, we learned a lot today. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast, Jean. We'd love to have you back at subsequent podcasts because we've got a million other things we wanted to talk to you about.
A zillion
A
other.
zillion.
We've run a little out of time for this one, but thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, Jean, I loved
Yeah.
meeting you. I loved this little show, and I look forward to more.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks
Good.
for joining us. And as we always say on our podcast, together we can rise to the top, stay at the top, and dream bigger than we've ever imagined.
Yeah.
And you are a testament to that.
Testament.
So thank you so much.
Yeah, dream big. Dream big.
Dream big.
Yeah,
Woo!
And we have a gift for you for coming on the show. It's a mug with our faces.
Oh, fun. Oh, good.
Every
So
morning
when you
at
drink your
breakfast,
coffee, you're going to go, oh, not those two. Oh, my God.
You'll be my inspiration.
or not.
morning.
Your inspiration to roll over and go back to bed.
She may spit her coffee out.
Not a chance. Not a chance. I love this lady.
I know. I do too. That makes two of us.
Oh my God, too funny.
We thank you for listening and hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, please share this show with friends and family and subscribe to our YouTube channel. This way, you'll never miss weekly drops. Stay strong, dream big, and floss your teeth.